Hi, my name is Abel, and I'm a cloud developer advocate specializing in DevOps. Today, I'm going to show you how you can set up and use Greenlighting in your release pipelines. Greenlighting is a new feature where you can use monitoring and automated systems to complement your release approval gates. Or put another way, we can now set up automated approval gates in our release pipelines. And today, I'm going to walk you through how to set that up. Let's go check it out. Here's my release pipeline in VSTS. In this demo, I'm taking my ASP.NET web app and I'm going to release it through my VSTS pipeline. First into a canary environment and then into the production environment. I also have a rollback environment in case I need to roll back my changes. Now, when I'm releasing, what I'm doing is first I'm going to enable continuous monitoring using an Azure App Service Managed Task. Next, I deploy my app using Azure App Service Deploy, and then I enable my feature flag by calling a PowerShell script. Now for my rollback, all I'm doing in there is doing one task. I'm just going to disable my feature flag, and that's it. Now, in my pipeline, I've always had the ability to create manual approvers before and after each environment. But now we have the ability to add automated approval gates. So let's go set one up. Now, when we create an automated approval gate, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to ask us, what's the delay time? So we can use the delay time for our app to warm up, maybe for App Insights to get enough time to actually start creating alerts, things like that. And next, we will go ahead and start adding our different approval gates. Now, out of the box, we have 5 different approval gates that we can use. First is with Azure Monitor. This approval gate will actually use Azure Monitoring to help you decide whether it will pass or fail this particular gate. Now, let's go ahead and set it up. I'm going to choose my subscription. Next, I'm going to choose my resource group, and the resource group is going to be this one here. The resource type is going to be Application Insights. And the resource name is going to be Shawshank B-Gates. And the alert rule that I'm going to use, let's use the availability rule. Now, another type of gate that we can add is we can invoke an Azure function. With this gate here, we define which Azure function we're going to hit, and then we also get to define what the success criteria is. If we want to do this asynchronously, we absolutely can, and then we get to define the callback and once again, what the success criteria is. In fact, we can do this type of stuff for invoke Azure functions, invoke a REST API, and publish to your Azure Service Bus. So using these 3 gates, we're able to custom craft whatever type of gate that we need to and determine exactly what type of success is the criteria for the gates. And finally, we have this query work items. Now using this one, I can invoke a work item query. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and call my bugs. And my passing criteria is that I have 0 bugs in my system. All right, let's go ahead and save this. And then after I save this, we'll go ahead and queue one of these releases to see what that looks like. All right, let's go ahead and queue a release. Now, once we queue a release, I'm going to choose the latest successful build. We'll go ahead and jump in and go to the log so we can actually see in real time what it's doing. So here's my release. We're going to let it load up. And from here, let's go ahead and jump into the logs to see in real time what it's going to be doing. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and download all of my bits. After it downloads my bits from the build, it's going to go ahead and enable continuous monitoring in my Azure environment. Then it will go ahead and deploy my application into Azure. And then it's going to flip on my feature switch. And then after that, my deployment is done, and it will go run my deployment gates. And hooray for that. Looks like my release is done, and it's starting the post-deployment gates. Now, when you first start out, the very first time VSTS runs these gates, Of course, everything passes, because it takes a while for App Insights to start reporting on issues. So let's wait a while and wait for the next sample time and see what happens. Okay, my sample time is up. Let's go into App Insight and see what's going on. So here in App Insights, let's go ahead and refresh. And look at that, we've got some alerts. So apparently my new changes have made my app respond really slowly, and sometimes they even fail. So let's go back into VSTS, let's refresh this. And we can see now my Azure Monitor Gate has run again and is totally failing. And now as long as my gates keep failing, my bits aren't going anywhere. We've configured VSTS to retry every 5 minutes for 24 hours. And if the timeout period is reached and the gates are still failing, this release will then go ahead and fail permanently. So now let's go ahead and roll back our changes. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll back. And now for this rollback, VSTS is just going to disable the feature flags that we've enabled earlier, effectively rolling back our changes. And now my feature flag has been disabled, so App Insight should slowly start clearing up all of my alerts. Let's jump into App Insights and see what's going on. So at this moment, nothing is happening, but if we wait a little bit, our alerts should start clearing up. And it looks like our alerts are going down. So let's jump back into VSTS and we'll refresh over here. Now jumping back into App Insights, we can take a look and see, once we refresh, that now we have no more alerts. So hooray for that. Jumping back into Visual Studio Team Services, we can see that the release has now passed through the gate and now has automatically been promoted to the production environment. Super, super cool new feature. We can now create automated approval gates, including using feedback from the continuous monitoring systems in Azure. This awesome feature helps us release faster and safer. Thank you.